Neighbor yelled while I relaxed in my pool, then called the police and got fined for harassment. Have you ever tried to enjoy a peaceful moment in your own backyard, only to have it shattered by someone else's drama? That's exactly what happened to me one swelteringly unbearable Saturday afternoon in June 2025. I was floating in my pool, the kind of day where the sun feels like a warm hug and the water is your best friend. My kids were giggling in the shallow end, and my wife, Lena, was sipping iced tea under the patio umbrella. Pure bliss, until a piercing shriek from over the fence obliterated it. "You're too loud. Turn off that music. You inconsiderate jerks." It was our neighbor, Karen, her voice sharp enough to slice through the summer haze. The problem? Our Bluetooth speaker was barely humming a soft jazz playlist, quieter than the kids' laughter. Karen had been a thorn in our side since we moved into this cozy suburban neighborhood 2 years ago. She was the kind of person who'd glare if your grass grew a half-inch too long or your recycling bin lingered curbside past pickup. But this was Nusht never screamed at us over the fence before. I paddled to the pool's edge, confused. "Karen, the music's barely on. Everything okay?" I called, trying to keep things civil. Her response? A string of curses and a demand to shut up or else. My kids froze, their giggles replaced by wide-eyed stares. Lena set down her tea, her jaw tight. This wasn't just a bad mood. This was a declaration of war. I turned off the speaker to avoid escalating things, but the damage was done. My kids were spooked, and Lena was fuming. "She can't just yell at us like that," she said, her voice low but fierce. I agreed, but what could we do? We tried being friendly with Karen waving, offering cookies when we first moved in, but she'd always brushed us off. Still, I figured maybe she was having a rough day. I decided to give her space and let it go. Big mistake. An hour later, as we were drying off and heading inside, a police cruiser pulled up to our house. Karen had called the cops, claiming we were hosting a rowdy party and disturbing the peace. The officer, a tired-looking guy named Martinez, took one look at our quiet backyard and raised an eyebrow. "This is the party?" he asked, almost amused. I explained the situation, and he jotted down notes, saying he'd talk to Karen. As he left, I felt a knot in my stomach. This wasn't over. The truth started unraveling the next day when I ran into another neighbor, Jamal, while grabbing coffee at the corner cafe. Jamal was the unofficial historian of our street, always ready with a story. "You know why Karen's so unhinged, right?" he said, leaning in. Apparently, Karen had been feuding with half the neighborhood for years. She'd once reported a family for excessive barbecue smoke and tried to get Jamal's dog impounded for barking during a thunderstorm. But here's the twist. Jamal revealed Karen was on thin ice with the Homeowners Association, HOA. She'd racked up multiple complaints for harassing neighbors, and the HOA was considering fines or even legal action if she didn't stop. "She's got a vendetta against anyone who seems happy," Jamal said, shaking his head. Armed with this intel, I realized Karen's outburst wasn't just about use it was her pattern. But knowing she had a history didn't make her screaming at my kids okay. I decided to document everything in case she pulled another stunt. Things came to a head a week later. We were back in the pool, this time with no music at all, just the sound of splashing and the occasional bird chirping. I thought we were safe. Then, like a scene from a bad movie, Karen's face appeared over the fence again, red and contorted. "You're doing this on purpose," she shrieked, splashing so loud I can't think. I was dumbfounded. Splashing? In our own pool? Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone and started recording us, yelling about how she'd prove we were nuisances. My daughter, Sophie, started crying, and Lena marched toward the fence, her mama bear mode fully activated. Karen, "Stop filming my kids and leave us alone," she snapped. Karen's response was to dial 911. Right there in front of us, claiming we were threatening her. Couldn't believe it. This woman was turning our family time into a circus. The same officer, Martinez, showed up again, looking even more exasperated. Karen was still ranting when he arrived, waving her phone like it was a smoking gun. But Martinez wasn't having it. He asked to see her footage, and after a few minutes of watching what amounted to kids playing in a pool, he turned to her. "Ma'am, this isn't a crime. You need to stop calling us for this." Then he pulled me aside and dropped a bombshell. Karen had made multiple false police reports against neighbors, and the department was considering charging her with harassment. He suggested I file a complaint to add to the record, especially since she'd filmed my kids without consent. I hesitated. Suing or pressing charges felt extreme, but Lena was done. "She's terrorizing us," she said later that night. "We can't let her keep doing this." So we filed the complaint, detailing her yelling, the false police calls, and the video incident. We also sent a copy to the HOA attaching Jamal's account of her history. Karen's downfall was swift and spectacular. The HOA, already fed up with her, slapped her with a $500 fine for violating community conduct rules. The police, after reviewing our complaint and others from neighbors, charged her with harassment and misuse of emergency services. At the hearing, Karen tried to play the victim, claiming we were ganging up on her because she was standing up for peace. But the judge wasn't buying it. The evidence, her own video, neighbor testimonies, and police records painted a clear picture of a woman who'd made it her mission to torment everyone around her. She was ordered to pay a $1,000 fine, attend anger management classes, and cease contact with us. The courtroom was silent as she stormed out, her usual bluster gone. I almost felt bad for her almost. But then I remembered Sophie's tears and Lena's clenched fists, and any pity evaporated. Looking back, I realized we weren't just fighting for our right to splash in our pool. We were standing up for every neighbor Karen had bullied, every kid she'd scared, every moment of peace she'd stolen. The aftermath was quieter than I expected. Karen kept to herself, her blinds drawn tight. Some neighbors said she was planning to move, unable to face the street she'd alienated. Our pool became a sanctuary again, filled with laughter and the occasional cannonball. Jamal even brought over his famous ribs one Sunday, and we had a proper barbecue, smoke and all. Officer Martinez drove by once, giving us a friendly wave. Life felt normal, maybe even better than before. What would you do if a neighbor tried to control your backyard? Was Karen just misunderstood? Or did she get what she deserved? Share your thoughts. I am curious to hear what you think about where the line between neighborly annoyance and outright harassment lies.